Joining us now, though, a couple blocks away up Pennsylvania Avenue from the White House, their Deputy Communications Director and Deputy Press Secretary to the President of the United States, Hogan Gidley. Hogan, great to have you, man.
Thanks so much for having me on. I always appreciate the time.
Oh, Hogan, we love having you on because you're cool and you make a lot of sense. So yesterday, I know we're not supposed to spike the football, right? I get that, right? Bannon already told me that. Don't spike the football. Don't gloat because they're going to change your game plan. Okay, I get it. But I'm going to spike the football anyway because he's not here right now. Look, and it's my show. I mean, what a clown show yesterday. What did they have? I mean, 7 hours of nothing but basically deep staters disagreeing with the president's policy on Ukraine or whatever. Tell me what they had.
Well, nothing is the big answer. I mean, obviously, this is a policy difference. You heard some people saying, no, we didn't like how this president was acting as it related to foreign policy. But the president ran on this topic. He won on this topic that he's not going to throw away American tax dollars to foreign nations when other countries should be paying their fair share. He's going to make sure that those countries aren't corrupt before he forks over hundreds of millions of dollars to be misused and abused. That's very clear. And what we're seeing here is a complete fabrication, again, against the President of the United States, whether it was first, collusion with Russia, collusion, Kavanaugh, cover-ups, whistleblowers. The whole thing is a sham and a scam. And what we now know today is what we knew yesterday, and we knew the day before that, and that is the president's done nothing wrong. You can read the transcript. He released it so it would be transparent. We also know that whether you're Republican, Democrat, or independent, what you appreciate and long for and what you love about a country that makes us different than a lot of places is that fairness matters, that due process matters, and this president hasn't received that. And everyone within the sound of our voice knows you get a parking ticket, you get treated better, you get more due process than a president of the United States facing impeachment at this point. And lastly, what they weren't talking about yesterday in the weird questioning and the hearsay and conjecture and opinions, what they aren't talking about are the things that matter to the American people, things we still want to get done, like lowering prescription drug prices, a rational, sane immigration policy, passing USMCA that would immediately influx anywhere from 250 to 500,000 jobs into our economy. I mean, they don't want to talk about what they could be doing. They rather insist on a partisan power grab.
Well, that's what you had yesterday. And I just couldn't believe it. And this is about the third time I've said this, but I have to say it again. My wife Ann called me the phone line yesterday, like they were one of the breaks, and she said, "What a difference in the world in Washington D.C. when Republicans fight, like because a lot of times they just don't fight anything, and so they get rolled." And I thought that was an astute comment. And you said, imagine if they fought in Virginia. Imagine if they fought last year for the president in the midterms. Imagine if we had this spirit in 2018. They wouldn't even have a majority. It's like, finally, we see them fighting.
Right. Well, when you have a head coach in Donald Trump who likes to fight and gets everyone fired up, you tend to play for those coaches. I mean, your team may not be the best team in the world, but if you're willing to fight, you always got a chance. And we've got a pretty good team and a great chance because the facts are on our side. And let's not forget, something no one's really talking about there, it's a little processy, but we've had over 140 meetings with congressmen, both at Camp David and at the White House that include the president, the vice president, other people. We've had about 42 meetings with senators directly as well, having lunches with them. We'll have one today, in fact. And this is because the president wants him to come in and understand where we stand on this, and he wants to lay out the facts plainly and clearly to our people. And whether they're in moderate districts or they're in staunchly conservative districts or more left-leaning districts, they understand the president has done nothing wrong. They're willing to fight for it. They're willing to go to the mat for it, and that's what you're seeing on full display. So kudos to folks on Capitol Hill so far. They are throwing some haymakers out there, and I got to tell you, not just the facts are on our side, but when you have people like Congressman Quigley from Illinois say hearsay can be much better than direct evidence.
Oh my God!
I mean, could you imagine sitting before a judge for any crime. You're charged with any crime, and the judge goes, hey, we're not really caring about evidence. You may not have been in the state at the time. You may have been able to prove without beyond a shadow of a doubt you were 6 states over. But someone heard you were there at the shop, the shopping center when you shoplifted something. So I think I'm going to take their word. It's insane.
I thought yesterday for the Democrats was a colossal failure. And worse than that, because so many people in Middle America, people who've called them on my show, who watch this thing, I mean, you nailed it. I mean, this is basically let's impeach the president because of a policy difference. Like, we don't agree with his America First foreign policy, therefore let's impeach him. I mean, it's an absurd way to go forward. They have absolutely nothing. Here, I want to just I'm going to play this quick clip here,
Sure.
Which is another classic, Hogan. I want to get your comment. It's only 20 seconds. Here was Ambassador Taylor. Look, served his country, great guy. But, look, you don't have to comment on this. But for people like us that actually are true believers in the president's America First foreign policy, and then you get Taylor opening with, I told Pompeo, if you don't do my policy, I'm going to quit. I mean, I got so many texts when that came out of people saying, don't let the door hit you in the ass, bud. I mean, what? So you quit? Like, what the hell do I care? Right?
Who voted for him?
I mean, you got to be kidding
Nobody.
me. Exactly. All right, let's get to Ambassador Taylor, cut 4, and with George Kent, where they can't answer. Where is the impeachable offense question? Classic. Cut 4.
So, in this impeachment hearing today, where we impeach presidents for treason or bribery or other high crimes, where is the impeachable offense in that call? Are either of you here today to assert there was an impeachable offense in that call? Shout it out. Anyone?
That was one of the best pieces of the hearing yesterday. What was up with that?
Bueller, no one's there to say anything because no one has the answer because there isn't one. I mean, Kellyanne did this on TV last week where she pulled out the call in the transcript and asked the anchor, hey, do me a favor, just show me where the impeachable offense is. Show me what he did wrong. And here's what's, again, don't want to get too much into the weeds here, but let's be clear. The aid was released. We gave Ukraine Javelin missiles. Barack Obama gave them pillows and blankets. We're the ones who actually allowed Ukraine with our weaponry to stand up against Russia. Again, being tougher on Russia than any president in history, other than probably Ronald Reagan. And, the aid was released. The Ukrainian president has said multiple times, I didn't feel any pressure. Other reports from the Ukrainian officials say, hey, I didn't even know the aid was being withheld. I mean, all of this makes no sense whatsoever, except if you're looking at it through the lens of the Democrats, which is we hate Donald Trump. We want to overturn this election somehow, some way. And now we are on the record. Our members have said publicly on television, we know we can't beat him. We got to impeach him. And that's what they're doing.
Well, and it's going to blow up in their face. I got to tell you, Hogan, as I was looking at this thing yesterday, now, we know that Pelosi, who is a master communicator and manipulator of intel, information, and communication, she's a master at it, no question. We know she's not happy. We know she probably had a meeting last night and was not happy with the way Adam Schiff handled this. She could get rid of Nadler. She can't get rid of Schiff. She's stuck with him. So you can bet on Friday they're going to change the way they went about this. There's not going to be hour opening statements and lawyers droning on for 50 minutes or whatever they did. I would think that the opening statements are going to be smaller. They're going to look for sound bites. They're going to try to change the narrative because yesterday was basically, that was a clown car. And I think when the new public opinion polls come out, you're going to see an immediate difference.
Right, but how many times have they changed it already?
5.
It was eight quid pro quos. It wasn't. This is all about a quid pro quo. It's not. Well, hey, now it's about bribery. Now it's a shakedown. Now it's a mob boss. I mean, the whole thing just keeps shifting.
Right.
Right. The whole thing is just insane. And I think the American people are starting to see this because Democrats aren't working for the people here. Mm-hmm. Sooner or later, a lot of these folks in Trump districts, right, that Donald Trump won in the presidential election that now are controlled by a Democrat congressman who ran on the issue, and we've talked about this before, of working with Donald Trump to get things done for them. We have all of these things on the table, and they're not doing any of it. They continue to go down this road of purely partisan politics just to try and grab back some power. They hate him so much. And Sarah Sanders used to say all the time, and she's right, Democrats have to decide whether they hate Donald Trump more than they love this country. And right now, it's pretty clear their hatred for Donald Trump absolutely bowls over every other desire they may have.
Hogan, I've got a minute. Play this out for us, the future. How does this affect 2020? What is eventually going to happen? Vision this out for us in a minute.
Well, obviously I can't get into a race because of hashtag,
right.
But I can tell you this. If I'm Nancy Pelosi and I'm looking around at my caucus and I'm saying, hey, what do you guys want to talk about? What do we want to push in this cycle? And they're all like, hey, we love the idea of infanticide. We really want to leave open borders and then make sure that every illegal immigrant who comes into this country, that we pay for their health care for free. We also want a Green New Deal that would destroy the third world in essence. Forcing them to have first world technology when they barely have enough for oil and energy, and it would also bankrupt our country. Yeah, those are the things we'd really like to. I guarantee you she's looking for some other avenue, and right now she thinks, it appears, that impeachment is a winner, but it's not, even by her own estimation and her own words when she said it has to be bipartisan for us to move forward with this. It's not bipartisan. The only vote they took actually gave us 2 Democrats, whereas they got no Republicans. So the whole thing is fractious on its face, and she and the rest of the Democrats have to wake up and smell what they're shoveling.
Hogan Gidley, White House Deputy Press Secretary, the President of the United States, Deputy Director of Communications, White House. Thank you for being with us, Hogan. Thanks for that insight.
Absolutely.